Hello and welcome back to Empires of Europe 1700. So we're now at war against the Spanish, and I have to admit, this is not exactly the way I wanted it to go. However, upon closer inspection, we now have some very nearby targets with which to focus on. And so, yeah, you could see here, obviously, I wasn't able to take Ragusa because I just didn't take it. And what do we have here? Oh, that's the Holy Roman Empire, of course. They are making things very annoying right now, actually, the Holy Roman Empire. If I can make peace with the Spanish at some point in the near future, we are going to definitely redeclare war against the Holy Roman Empire and actually try to murder them as best as we can. And we'll see what happens, but I mean, look at this. Look at how lightly defended this actually is. We would very easily be able to take that. Anyway, let's go straight on in here. Hopefully, I'm going to have a good opportunity to capture as many of these guys as possible. This is also one of those things where I understand that a couple of people, one or two people, were saying, "Why am I executing?" Okay, well, this is the thing, right? Usually, I don't want to execute ever, and the most of the reason why that is because obviously it kind of trivializes a lot of the gameplay later on down the line, where you're going to be going into battles and you're going to be going into sieges, and then the sieges and the battles, they're not really going to have too many of pretty much anything available to challenge you any further because you guessed it, you've executed every single person that you can. Obviously, there are many cases where that's actually not even possible any longer because I'm actually not entirely sure if they've changed the way that works now, but from what I remember, you are maybe not even able to completely eliminate factions anymore through just executing. Because they seem maybe to be literally just spawning people out of thin air, pretty much. And that has been, a bit of a source of conjecture for a while. I don't know whether that is actually the case or not, but I wouldn't be surprised, because that is indeed what happens with minor factions, and I wouldn't be surprised if they've implemented that for major factions as well now, because minor factions, they've always had this thing where if you actually eliminate every single one of them, but do it one by one, it makes no difference, because they just magically get respawned over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter what you do. So there's that, obviously, first of all. But second of all, the thing is, okay, think of it this way. How are we going to deal, and this is obviously the point, think about how many people we have already executed. Think about how many we've already executed, and then think about the Holy Roman Empire. How many vassals do they actually have? And that's the thing. We don't know. I actually do not know how many they have, because I haven't checked. I haven't checked how many they have. They may, in fact, have so many vassals that me executing 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe even more than that, may not make any difference. It may literally just make it slightly easier for us to capture what we can around here and have them be slightly less effective in their pursuit of world conquest, which is indeed what they're doing right now. Have you seen their territory recently? Their territory is completely, or almost completely, untouched for the most part. And that's a pretty big deal, That is a massive deal right there. And so, basically what I'm trying to say is, executing in this particular case is most likely one of the only required things that you may have to do. And I'm saying you may have to do this. You don't have to do it, obviously, but it is a part of the game. It is a gameplay mechanic. I'm not actually trying to exploit the game in any way or another. This is a game mechanic that is implemented and we can choose to use it or not. It is not me exploiting a glitch or anything like that to make the vassals get stuck or, you know, anything like that. It is very much a thing that is in the game and you can use it or not if you choose to do so. But what I'm trying to say is, this is not actually, in my opinion at least, really making that much difference to the Holy Roman Empire. They are very, very strong even now. I'm going to take a look after this, actually. I'm going to take a look after this because I want to see. I'm very intrigued to see whether this has made any difference whatsoever to our chances of actually eliminating the Holy Roman Empire, because they're, let's face it, they're very strong. They're probably, as I said to you in the earlier stages of this series, I said those guys are gonna be a problem. They're gonna be the most dangerous faction, I think. One of the most dangerous, at least. Maybe even the most dangerous that you will face in a mod like this. That's exactly what I have faced in Europe 1100 as well. Europe 1100, I had many, many cases where the Holy Roman Empire was the big cheese, as it were. They were the ones to watch, you know? They were the ones that were the most dangerous to deal with. And yeah, that's also partially the reason why you would want to execute as fast as you possibly can. Because here's the thing. Think about it this way. If you are having a look at these characters right now, if you're having a look at who we're actually fighting with and who we lose and so on and so forth, you then think to yourself, okay, well, what actually happens if we execute, you know, 10 of them, or 5 of them, or however many of them? Is that actually going to make any difference whatsoever to their overall success? I personally don't believe so, because what's going to happen is I'm going to have the ability to then I'm then forced basically into fighting all of their garrisons nevertheless, and it just makes things slightly less grindy, and that is literally the only thing. That is literally the only reason. I personally don't really like I don't really, shall we say, appreciate Bannerlord turning into a huge grind fest, which is exactly the reason why I tend to lean towards execution a little bit more than I tend to lean towards, you know, captivity. Because I would need to get mounted patrols, obviously, first of all. This is mounted patrols right here. Minus 50% escape chance to prisoners in your party. And I think I would also need to get something... Is it in roguery skill, or is it somewhere else? Ransom broker, minus 30% escape chance for hero prisoners. I actually don't know where the other one is. There's something else somewhere. Is it here? In steward? No? Okay, no, I don't know where the other one is. I think it's scouting, actually. It might actually be scout. Yes, there it is. 50%, minus 50% chance of prisoner lords escaping from your party. So, technically, if we wanted to do that, I would need to have 225 in scouting, which I don't. I have 0 in... I have 0 in scouting, so it is very, very unlikely I'm going to be able to do... you know, your suggestion, because that's the thing. You suggested that I just capture people and I put them in the prisoner's hold and stuff like that. And I'm perfect. You know, usually I'd say to you, yeah, I'm perfectly happy to do that. You know what? Let's try it out, shall we? Let's try it out. I'm going to put them all in there, and we're going to see how long it takes them to get back to full strength, because these guys, I'm pretty sure, are going to escape in the first 5 days. I'm thinking they're probably going to escape in the first 5 days or so. That's probably what's going to happen here. First of all, what I want to do... Oh, yeah, wow, I'm actually doing very, very well here, apparently, surprisingly enough. I was thinking to myself that we were going to have some issues, but no. Anyway, we need to purchase a lot of food right now. Yes, we need to purchase a lot of food. Let me just get as much as I possibly can here. There we go. Just going to get around 700 in total. We can sell some of this ammo. Let's actually just get rid of all of that, as much of that as we can at least. And then we'll just sell... I don't even know what to sell, to be honest. There's so much stuff here, but it's just... it's very, very difficult. Sometimes I donate and sometimes I don't donate, and then I think to myself, oh, I probably should have donated that, you know. It's such a classic problematic situation. And there it is. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have a look at the Holy Roman Empire now, because obviously they're the ones that have borne the brunt of most of our attention when it comes to the Executioner's axe. And so if I can, shall we say, if I can take a look and actually see how they're doing here. Okay, so the Holy Roman Empire, as you can see, their total strength is 18,000. We have 4,000 in comparison. And I'm going to be taking a look at them. And if we take a look at them, okay, so Leopold the First, as you can quite clearly tell, he has a load of friends. They are all alive by the looks of things, which is very strange considering. And it seems like every single one of his people is alive, which is very strange. Usually I would say that most of them are going to be dead, but no, that is not the case. So you could see here, he's completely 100% fine. So let's take a look at some of the other clans that are available here. Okay, these are all fine as well. So they have three completely intact clans. They've got 4 here. I've just only executed one of these people. So 1 execution so far that we've seen. Everyone else is completely and utterly fine. Yep, everyone else is fine. Okay, this one could potentially be eliminated relatively soon. This one's lost 1 person. This one's lost 1 person. This one's lost a couple of people, but not really going to make too much of a difference. So we've executed about, what, 7 people? 8 people so far? Yeah, there we go. About 11 people. We seem to have executed about 11 people, but for the most part, the Holy Roman Empire is pretty much like, what, 80% strength? 90% of their former selves? They've lost some very minor vassals here and there, and they haven't really suffered at all, to be honest. They're still just as strong as they were before, which is absolutely hilarious. That's exactly what I was talking about. You know, sometimes factions that get executions, it just makes very little difference unless you are capturing them en masse. And I'm talking about you know, you fighting against an army that has such a significant number of vassals in. For example, let's say that they have, I don't know, 10 to 15 vassals in each army, and that's obviously going to result in them having about 1,500 to 2,000 troops. Obviously, let's just say that they each have 100 or 150 troops. They're going to have a lot of people, right? And so if they have a lot of people like that, they are inherently going to be very difficult to defeat. And so if they are, it's gonna be a hard one, isn't it? Yeah, it's gonna be a hard one. Anyway, Genoa apparently was not taken by the looks of things, which is kind of weird because it was under siege. I didn't actually go over there because they stopped it before I even got back. So a little bit weird there, but that's fine, I guess. And otherwise, we're going to be attacking Naples. Yes, we're just going to attack Naples here. And as I said, we will do a little bit of executing if we feel the need to, because that's the thing. I don't really want to sacrifice strategy for the sake of being soft on enemies, because in general I don't feel as though that is what people would do in real situations, at least. I mean, let's face it, if you're up against an opponent that is extremely strong and you have very little in the way of actual combat strength, because let's face it, I mean, you've seen my combat strength right now. I have 4,200 in comparison to Spain's 11,000, in comparison to Britain's 8,700, and we do have some people that are you know, along our level, you know. There we do have some people, but we got the Ottoman Empire right here. The Ottoman Empire was 17,000. The Polish right here with 9.6k. And we got a bunch of others. Look at this. We've got these guys with 18,000. So there are huge numbers of enemies that have a significant advantage over us. And as I say, the point of me actually doing those executions is to just level the playing field a little bit. You know what I mean? It's just to level the playing field so that we have the ability to fight back on a bit more on, you know, the same kind of terms, you know, same kind of terms, and make it so that the enemy doesn't have as much of an overwhelming advantage. And that's pretty much it. And that's usually what it is for, to be honest. I feel like the execution mechanic is for that, but it does, unfortunately, this is the reason why I've talked at length in the past about a number of extra things that could be added to Bannerlord in the base game. I'm talking about in the base game here. I'm not talking about in mods or anything like that, because the modding community has done such an amazing job already. I'm talking about in the base game here, adding additional functionality for players to be able to capture certain fiefs without resorting to siege warfare, and indeed even eliminating vassals. I'm talking about that because if you have situations like I said before, where we are up against an extremely powerful opponent, you know, because let's just say we're up against the Holy Roman Empire in this case, you know, let's say we're up against them, and we don't have the execution mechanic, or we don't want to execute. Let's say that we have, I don't know, a huge amount of goody two-shoes on our side. You know, let's say that we have that on our side, right? And we're basically making it so that we're not going to execute. So what other options do we have according to the base game? And that's the thing. I think that that's a very interesting discussion to have, because if you think about it, there are none. That's the funny thing. There are none. Yeah, sure, you can capture them and you can take them prisoner, and then they you know, eventually escape after a certain period of time. Yeah, you can do that. Of course, that's absolutely fine. That's a very viable way to go about things. However, the one thing that I personally don't like about the whole capturing people thing is that generally, more often than not, they're going to escape. Obviously, eventually they're going to escape. That's just how it is. You know, it's just an inevitability, to be honest, unless you're having to carry them around in your army yourself. And that requires you to have a very specific set of perks. Obviously, as I said to you before, you're going to need scouting skill and you're going to need riding skill. And most of the time, funnily enough, most of the time, I actually have those two skills. I am usually the scout, and I am usually someone that, you know, most of the time rides on a horse. So generally, I would have those things available. However, and this is one of those things that we have to take into account when talking about this kind of topic, the situation of having to carry around all of these people. And just imagine we get into a battle with, you know, 10, 15 vassals, and then we go into a battle against 5 vassals, and then we get into a battle with another 5 vassals. We're going to be holding 20 or 25 vassals in our party and slowing ourselves down dramatically as a result of that. And that's inherently going to be very disadvantageous. It's not going to give you a good amount of speed as a result, because having any prisoners whatsoever. Oh, thank you very much, Uros. Uros has actually turned up, and he's got a massive party with him. That's very nice indeed. I'm commanding the besiegers. He's actually allowing me to command the besiegers right here. This is very surprising. Usually, someone that comes along with a massive army, he's going to be the one taking over. But apparently he respects us a great deal. I'm very intrigued by that. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're just going to wait until the garrison runs out of food, of course, because that's generally the plan here. Most of the time we want to try to reduce as many casualties that we're going to take as possible, and if we can, I would absolutely love to make it so that Uros and his army and his friends in his army don't lose too many units. Because if they lose a huge amount of troops here, their overall push into being offensive, into being as damaging as they possibly can be, that is going to get stopped prematurely, and that is not going to be a good thing. That is not going to be a good thing at all. Unfortunately, Milan is now taken, I believe. Milan has been taken by the Spanish, which indeed is yet another one of those things that we just kind of have to, unfortunately, deal with, and we're going to have to go back there and retake it by the looks of things. If they decide to try and take Rome, we're going to be in a big amount of trouble, to be honest. That's going to be some Kind of annoying stuff to deal with there, but I can only hope that they're not going to try to take Rome. Oh, hello. All right. The Holy Roman Empire has now declared war against us. Yes, okay. I almost 100% expected that to happen, because it was just a matter of time. It's one of those things, you know, because as soon as you have made any kind of peace agreement with an enemy faction, it's, as I say, just time-based on when they're going to redeclare war and then attack you again. Well, never mind. Okay, well, I guess, as I said, we're just going to wait until the garrison runs out of food, and then we're going to head on in here. Alright, so it looks pretty good right now. As you can see, we have completely and utterly obliterated the enemy garrison, and we're just going to be going in. I wanted this to be as painless as possible for pretty much everyone concerned, and this is actually a pretty interesting discussion point that you've brought up with the whole execution thing, and I feel like talking about it is really, really interesting, because we have a number of different ways that we can resolve that. Obviously, the only way that I can resolve it right now is just by taking them prisoner, which is obviously not exactly great. You know, that's not super, super amazing. But it is pretty much the only way I can. And I'm just literally going to let my people just charge in. That's literally all I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to let them charge in, and we're just going to have to hope that that's going to be good enough. But what I wanted to talk about right now is the fact that we have a lot of different ways to kind of handle a siege. I mean, that's the thing, not really to a certain degree, but what I'm saying is the siege mechanics are always going to result in you basically having to go into the siege, right? You have to go into the siege, you have to attack, you have to run in. And by the way, I love the custom maps that we have here. I think this is very, very cool looking. I'm going to throw my grenades, do massive damage in the process, of course. And most of the time, we're not going to lose too many people. Yeah, no, we've only lost 27. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, anyway, so this actually brings up the other question of siege mechanics and the variety of what you can do. Because obviously, if you talk about how you eliminate vassals, there are only two things that you can do. You can capture them, or you can execute them, right? That's how you can reduce a faction's overall combat strength for an extended period of time. Obviously, execution is a little bit more of a permanent solution. But then if we talk about siege warfare, and you talk about how a siege is going to be conducted, and you think about, okay, well, how do I do a siege? What's the primary way that I'm capturing fiefs right now? Well, the primary way I'm doing it is the standard way that you would probably consider to be the most efficient, not in terms of time, but in terms of troops spent. Because obviously, as you could tell right here, and this is a big caveat here, if I were to go in here without doing any of the busy work, as it were, as in, if I were to go in here without doing the walls, without destroying the walls or anything like that, I would end up sustaining huge amounts of casualties. And I'm talking about massive amounts of casualties here. Big, big losses. And that's kind of the deal. You know what I mean? That's kind of the deal. Because I'm now thinking to myself, well, how am I supposed to deal with that? How do I deal with the fact that we don't have any significant alternative to siege warfare? And I think that really makes a huge difference, because as I said, I feel like the execution discussion has now brought up a whole wide variety of other topics that we can talk about when it comes to how you deal with those, and what is shall we say, what is an alternate path to take when it comes to dealing with them. Because most of the time with sieges, especially in this mod, I'm not really talking about the base game here, even though technically the base game, you have a number of different things that you can do, and most of the time I'm just going to build siege ladders and then just go straight up there, because if I have a really, really significant high tier army, most of the time that's going to be good enough, and that's very efficient when it comes to my own personal time. in comparison, when I'm playing Empires of Europe, that is completely different. I need to try to focus on doing as much damage as possible to the garrison. And if that means sustaining a lot of time in that particular area, then that's what I'm gonna have to do, unfortunately. I really don't like doing that because I personally prefer blitzing enemies really, really quickly, taking a fief, and then moving on to the next fief and taking that. But that's not how this mod is. If you were to do that in this mod, you would probably be having... I think at least you'd probably have some pretty harsh losses, as you've seen in the case of me attempting to take Ragusa over here. I had an insane amount of advantage. Well, yeah, I wouldn't say an insane amount, but I'd say a pretty large combat strength advantage, and I still ended up losing, just purely because there wasn't anything else I could do there, you know? I had taken down the walls, I destroyed all of their siege equipment, we went in, and it just was not possible. It was just not possible, because the enemy had superior positioning. You can see here that the Spanish are now capturing absolutely every single thing that we have here. They've just taken Genoa, and indeed Milan as well. I am very surprised about this. I'm wondering what Uros is going to do, actually. Oh yeah, they're working together. Okay, yeah, so the Holy Roman Empire and the Spanish, they're actually working together. And this is very bad. I'm gonna have to pay them 2,500 per day to stop this. Unfortunately, I have to take these before I do that. As you can see, they only put 52 defenders in here. This is kind of strange. But yeah, as you can see, they're working together. Oh, no, wait, never mind. Okay, they're not working together. I actually thought that these were Holy Roman Empire vassals, but no, they're actually not. Okay, interesting. Making peace with the Spanish. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. We are going to 100% make them pay right now. This is also a reason why executions are kind of fun, because it kind of gets a bit of revenge against them, you know what I mean? It kind of gets a little bit of revenge against them, and I think that's quite fun to do, just because it's fun to get revenge. It's fun to get revenge on some random AI-controlled enemies. You know what I mean? It's quite cool to do that. Anyway, let's see. Are they actually going to try to attack me together? Yeah, it looks as though they will. Okay, I'm going to have to get out of here then. Uros is probably going to be absolutely fine if he goes in there. Oh, please, please, please. Oh, yes. Oh, this is perfect. Wait. Oh, I want to do damage to this guy. I so badly want to do damage to this guy. If I can actually get him into a battle, I think we could probably win.
Halt.
Yeah, I can probably beat this guy. I think we can probably win. Okay, let's do this. I really want to try to support Uros as much as I possibly can. He is pretty much our guiding light right now. He's pretty much the reason why we might be okay and we might achieve a relatively nice victory here. Okay, so let's see what I can do. So first of all, this is a pretty weird battlefield. Not a big fan of it, I gotta say. Not a big fan, mostly because there's not that much space. But we can do a little bit of something. Let's do something like this. And then we'll do something like this. And then we'll get our infantry in the center around about here. Put them into a loose formation. Put these guys into a loose formation. These guys loose formation. There we go. And then we'll get our cavalry somewhere randomly over here. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then we're basically just going to wait. We're basically just going to wait. We're going to be lazy so-and-sos. And we're just going to let the enemy come to us. It's going to take them a long time. So I'm going to use speed. Let's use speed to let all these guys come over here. And they're probably going to get absolutely massacred because I've got a pretty decent spread of units right now. And, oh, it seems like they've actually run into my cavalry. Probably not the best idea for them to do that, to be honest. But if they want to, then who am I to stop them? I'm actually going to run out here a little bit. Because these guys, if they try to shoot me, I think they're probably going to miss. Most of the time. Nice. Nice. Yes, yes, yes. More of this, more of this, more of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do not want to lose my horse if at all possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of here now. And hopefully my sacrifice will not have been in vain. I didn't really sacrifice much, though. That's the funny thing, you know. I did take a little bit of damage. My horse took a bit of damage, but that's okay. You know, that's fine. And as long as we continue getting kills, I do not care. You know, I do not care one bit. As long as we keep getting kills, that's it. Okay, so what we want to do is we probably want to move these guys like this. Move them like that. And my other fellows will basically just wait where they are. Oh, I'm gonna die. Yep. I kind of thought that. Yep. I kind of thought that. As soon as I started running towards them, I thought to myself, they've probably got their bullets ready, don't they? Yes, I'm very much more used to archers, you see. That's the funny thing, because now I'm dealing with people that actually have bullets ready in the chamber, as it were. And I need to... it's funny, I'm not yet used to that, funnily enough, even though I should be. Oh well, never mind. It's not really a big deal, because we have achieved victory, and you can see here we lost a grand total of 27 people, which is really not bad at all. We are just gonna re-recruit those relatively easily, and then level them up very, very simply too. Okay, so there we go. We can take all of these prisoner. Look at how many we've got right here. Wow, that's actually kind of insane. And let's see. I probably should take all of these, shouldn't I? Apart from the Western Armed Trader. I'm not going to take the Trader, thank you very much. I'm not going to take any of these prisoners either for the moment. Let's take all of this. I don't even need the cash, but I don't really want it to go to waste. And... well, I don't want the experience to go to waste, let's just say that, because obviously, you know, that would go to waste quite quickly here. There we go, let's get that, and then we can just do a little bit of this. I'm actually surprised that we're getting such a hefty amount. There we go, nice, nice, nice. We can level all of these up, very good. And there we have it. Okay, that is not bad at all. Bear in mind, I do not care about level ups, okay? That is one thing that you'll see me do, potentially, a number of times. Most of the time, when I'm looking at leveling up, I'm going to level up, and then I'll maybe level up just after the next battle, and then I'll level up when, you know, the time comes to level up once again. Because if you didn't know this, there's a very, very interesting tidbit of information that maybe is not very well known, but basically... if you level up on the 3rd day of every single month, it actually provides you with a 50% experience bonus. And you can see here that it was just the 3rd of winter. So it really does make a huge difference. Just bear that in mind. It's a thing that not many people know about. Anyway, we're going to obviously level up something here. I'm going to level up my intelligence. Very nice. I'm going to need that. I think a bunch of people need more intelligence, that's for sure. And let me see. What else should I go for? I should probably go for writing skill, shouldn't I? Yeah, let's go for some more focus points in writing skill. I'm very much hoping that Uros is going to be able to capture this by himself. I hope that he doesn't need me to do this. And, okay, wait a minute. There is apparently a peace agreement with the Spanish. We can pay 2,000. Oh, I see. They rebelled. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, so Milan has rebelled against the Spanish. That's very funny. Okay, that's quite amusing. Yeah, well, the Holy Roman Empire has declared war against us. They've taken Zadar from us, as you can see right there. So we are going to have to fight back quite dramatically. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.